Welcome to this presentation, which is about the origin of creativity in human evolution. The opening questions are: why is it interesting today to study how creativity emerged in human evolution? Which is the most convincing hypothesis in light of the evidence? What research into the origin of creativity could help us to understand the modern mind? My hypothesis, in brief, for answering these questions is the following. Creativity emerged with the genus Homo, not only to improve survival with material innovations, thus satisfying a physical need, but also to express his identity as a genus, thus satisfying a mind need. Creativity emerged together with a new sociality. The origin of human creativity helps explain the formation of the background for the flourishing of technology, art, and social relations, and hence the success in evolution from Homo erectus to Homo sapiens during the Paleolithic age. Let's begin with our ancestors of 2 million years ago who shared mixed locomotion, a relatively small brain, the lithic technique of simple chipping of stones for contingent use. As you see in the picture, the worked stones have rather different shapes. Then, 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus appeared with rather evolved characteristics such as obligate bipedal locomotion, a larger brain, and differently shaped. The capabilities of Homo erectus include perhaps the control of fire, more likely the digestion of meat as a normal function, so that they become hunters, likely the capability to communicate with proto-language, and certainly the capability to realize a new lithic technique. Therefore, genus Homo fully emerged with Homo erectus. The new lithic technique is the biface called a Schulean. The biface is a hard rock worked into an almond shape with blades extending from the tip symmetrically on both sides, with a rounded bottom so it can be held firmly in the hand, and with average small dimensions and weight. It is not used to form a hand axe or a javelin, but it was used for butchering meat and working wood. It was reproduced many times for more than 1 million years in Africa, the Middle East, India, China, and Europe. The biface marks the origin of a new complexity. In fact, it requires a proper hard rock, which must be identified and searched. It should be transported even for tens of kilometers. It should be extracted, chipped, and refined with proper tools. Many hours of training are needed to make it. Several studies thus agree that the stages of the biphase processing had to be anticipated in the mind as a first form of complex imagination, while criticizing the genetic basis of the biphase processing. The biphase contains a mystery. Although it was eventually useful, its production was daunting because it was dangerous, time-consuming, and the success of the outcome was uncertain. We can thus wonder, is there any additional motivation to undertake its production? Secondly, no other lithic technique lasted so long, more than 1 million years. Why such attachment? And furthermore, it is not always efficient. Simpler tools would be enough to cut. Why hasn't it been made more efficient? It coexisted with more advanced and specific lithic artifacts, such as thin flakes, scrapers, point and picks. Why wasn't it replaced before? It was refined with symmetrical sides and with proportions close to the golden section. Why spend extra time to impose a definite shape? It is sometimes reproduced in exaggerated dimensions, and many bifaces have been found with no traces of use. Why produce such useless things? Therefore, we can claim that, in addition to the meaning of being useful, it must have had an extra latent sense. The existing hypotheses to explain the mystery of such additional latent sense are four. The first explanation addresses the preference for symmetry. Indeed, this preference is due to a predisposition of our visual system. However, other animals also have the same predisposition, but they don't make anything symmetrical. Another explanation addresses the aesthetic sense. This justification is that it is due to the release of dopamine, which provides pleasure. But why does the aesthetic sense emerge precisely in the genus Homo and not in other animals? Still another explanation addresses the means to attract females for mating purposes. It would signal male strength, skill, and cognition. However, the individual male may be not the maker, thus falsifying the signal. Social interaction provides more efficient opportunities to attract females. Sexual selection does not favor preference for symmetry. A final explanation addresses the signal of band identity. Indeed, it would stimulate cooperation and hence survival. However, band identity rather leads to distinguish bands with diverse signals, while the biphase signal is unique. Before proposing my hypothesis, we should remind that creativity has a crucial social basis. In fact, since around 2 million years ago, a new sociality emerged thanks to three conditions. First, the need to cooperate in large groups to escape from great predators. Indeed, great predators represented a danger for bipedal individuals in the expanded savanna. Second, a larger brain, due to both the evolutionary pressure coming from the need to cooperate and the possibility of eating meat, that is, an energizing food. Third, the need to protect children who were born with an immature brain and hence prolonged inaptitude. Therefore, the capability to produce the biphase emerged thanks to the capability of complex imagination and the capability to cooperate, necessary to organize, teach, and learn the necessary operations, together with evolved hands as freed by bipedalism, so that manipulative ability could develop, and a larger brain. My hypothesis on the mystery of the biphase is thus the following. Biphase represented in the minds of its makers the image of human beings. Specifically, its symmetrical face could recall the upright posture of the frontal human figure, thus capturing the obligate bipedalism, which is different from his ancestors. Its oval shape, in particular, could recall the lines that define the contours of the human face, which has proportions similar to the golden section. These would capture the usual way of communicating with each other, starting from the mother-child interaction. Therefore, according to my hypothesis, Homo erectus, in realizing the biphase, developed his capabilities of complex imagination and cooperation to express his own specificity as human being. My hypothesis is relatively robust because it provides a basis to the hypothesis of the preference for symmetry. that is, the symmetry of the frontal body and frontal face of similar individuals. It provides a basis to the hypothesis of the aesthetic sense, that is, the pleasure of feeling to belong to the community of humans. It replaces the two hypotheses of signal of male skill and of band identity by proposing a sign as an attempt to represent human identity through an artifact that all Homo individuals, and only they, are potentially able to realize. Concluding, the story of the biphase helps understand, according to my hypothesis, the origin of human creativity, its close link with the emergence of new sociality, its joint outcome of improving survival through technological innovations, and expressing the image of humans, thus paving the way for art, which developed autonomously later on, as clearly testified by the cave paintings of Homo sapiens. And moreover, it helps understand the evolutionary success of the genus Homo in the Paleolithic age to the extent that creativity overcomes physical vulnerability to the human slenderness, naked skin, large hand, and prolonged infancy. These are my main references. These are my acknowledgements and my work. I want to stress that without Massimo Fagioli, I would not have been able to conceive this work, and in particular, I have drawn from his theory the concepts of capability of imagination and human identity. Thank you for your attention.